Alrighty, hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Career Connectors Post from the Minnesota FFA Foundation. So today we have our agriculture education panel, and I'm super excited for it. My name is Elaina Knott, and I am originally from the Thief River Falls FFA chapter. This year I'm serving as the Minnesota FFA State Treasurer, and currently I'm in Crookston, Minnesota, studying agriculture education with the intent to be an agriculture educator. So I'm really excited for this panel. And with that, I will dive right into our first question with our panelists. And we'll start with Joe and go down the line of Rachel, Sarah, and Keith. So your first question would be, can you please introduce yourself, your job title, your company, and then a little bit about what you do there?
My name is Joe Ramstad. I am the agriculture teacher at Staples Motley Schools, and I also help advise our FFA chapter. And as an agriculture teacher, I get the privilege of teaching over 13 different classes throughout the year and working with over 150 students. It's the best thing that I could imagine for myself for a career. I love everything that I do with teaching ag, and I'm excited to be here today.
Hi, everyone. I'm Rachael Peterson. I am the Leadership Development Coordinator for the Minnesota Farm Bureau Federation. And I also work a little bit with our Minnesota Farm Bureau Foundation. There, I do a lot with our programming, especially our Young Farmers and Ranchers and Promotion and Education Committee, focusing on building leaders so that we have a stronger organization today and in the future.
Hey everybody, my name is Sarah Dornink and I'm the Executive Director of the Minnesota Agricultural Education Leadership Council, or MALC. MALC is a 16-member legislative council that's dedicated to promoting and expanding agricultural education opportunities across the state. We may have worked with your school getting a grant from us. We have interns and ambassadors who've maybe been to your school. And then we also help with FFA Day at the Capitol or the Ag Policy Experience. And so a few places you might have seen us around. We also work with all your teachers very closely. My role with MALC includes building relationships with stakeholders, managing the dollars that we receive from the state legislature, and implementing a strategic plan. So we have ideas that we want to do to improve AF&R education across the state, and that's my job to help make that happen. And then we assist current programs, and then we also help new programs that are trying to come on board. So that's a few things we get to do.
Hello, everyone. My name is Keith Olander. I'm Executive Director of AgCentric, which is a center of excellence for Minnesota state colleges and universities. I have two major areas of work. One is in farm business management. We work with almost 3,000 farms across the state to help them manage their businesses. We collect a lot of data from them and then help them benchmark themselves, and then also help in advocacy with legislative or policy pieces that would drive farming forward. The other side of my work is in career pathways. So helping those of you that are at the high school level become interested, or just your interest in agriculture. How do you move forward into post-secondary and now into industry? So then we're always connecting with industry as to what their needs are. How do we have our colleges be aligned with that industry need? And of course, all of our youth, how do they become interested in agriculture?
Awesome. So we have a very wide variety of what agriculture education can look like, especially in Minnesota. So the next question for all of you is, what led you to this career? Was it maybe a college that you attended, a career? Was it maybe past experience in FFA? And we'll go down the same order, starting with Joe.
Yeah, so when I was a high school student, I got placed into an A class my 9th grade year and just randomly showed up on my schedule, and I loved it. I fell in love with it. I enjoyed every minute of it. I got involved with FFA, and I took tons and tons of A classes at the high school level, and it was really my ag teachers in high school, Mike Miron, Ann Tosel, and Veronica Ward, who influenced me to become an agriculture teacher and instilled in me their belief in me and my ability to be a teacher. And so from there, I went to the University of Minnesota Twin Cities, go Gophers, and I just graduated actually in 2019 with a degree in agriculture education and also agriculture communication and marketing. And both of those degrees have prepared me very well to be an agriculture teacher, not only in my communication abilities, but also my ability to facilitate class activities. And yeah, so just my agriculture teachers and the preparation I got from the University of Minnesota.
I personally grew up on a dairy farm in southeastern Minnesota. I took that into my college degree. I studied animal science at the University of Minnesota and graduated in 2016. And throughout my time, a lot of my internships and coursework really pushed me towards foundation work without me even realizing what I was doing. Worked for CHS and Extension and really loved those roles of bettering communities and rural Minnesota, as well as rural America. And always found myself in leadership positions in different clubs and organizations that I was in. And all of those really melded together well in the current career that I'm in. Love being in a leadership position where I'm helping others better themselves in many different positions and different programs. So there's a lot of different things that came together and helped me get to where I am today. And I'm really enjoying being able to put all of those pieces together.
For me, I grew up on a swine and sheep farm in southeast Minnesota and was, that 4-H FFA member that many of you are. I was our chapter's junior year of high school. I was our chapter's president, but my senior year I re-ran and I didn't get elected, which was kind of a big ouch. But turn of life events, my ag teacher just appointed me as our student advisor, and that's independent study I did in the spring semester really kind of pushed me on my path to become originally to become an agriculture teacher. I didn't know if that's what I wanted to do, but I came to the University of Minnesota, Twin Cities to start that path. And I went all the way through my student teaching. I student taught in Forest Lake, loved it. But sometimes life and your career path takes another little veer off. And I was looking for a teaching position the summer right after I graduated. And I hadn't gotten one yet. And the MALC director called and said, you should apply to be the program assistant. And I did, and I got it. And 15 years later, I'm still here. So I was the program assistant for about 7 years. I did a little bit in extension, and then I came back as the director since 2013. So I do get to still be an ag teacher at the U of M where I teach an ag policy class. So I do get to dabble a little in my teaching side. But so that's probably my one thing is you never know where life and your career path is going to take you.
I did also grow up on a farm, not necessarily really finding a home within high school. Classes were okay, but I did do a lot of extracurriculars. But when I found FFA as a ninth grader, that really was a fit for me. And so I determined very early on that my advisor had a big impact on me and that I wanted to return that as best I could. So that really set the course for me. I did go on to the university, got my degree. I spent 14 years then being FFA advisor, high school ag teacher at 2 different schools. Then I had the opportunity to move over to the college side for teaching farmers and adult education, and really enjoyed that. But then, of course, as these opportunities come up, about 7 years ago, I became an administrator in this role, as director of the center. So just really love agricultural education, and that's been kind of my pieces of moving along. I think we think about these careers, there's always these steps along the way and opportunities. That's what I love about agricultural education.
Absolutely. All of you kind of touched on that opportunities, and sometimes you don't want to go into something, but when an opportunity opens itself up, you find yourself in many different areas that you would never think you would have ended up in. So going into a little bit more depth into your job titles and your jobs that you do on a daily basis, our next question for you is, what does a typical day look like for you?
Well, no 2 days as an ag teacher are ever the same. Wake up in the morning and I honestly have no idea what's going to happen throughout the day. You just got to be flexible and adaptable, especially this year. But typically what will happen is I'll wake up, I'll come into school. Generally, we'll have a FFA team for a CDE or an LDE come in and practice before school, or we'll have an officer meeting of some sort. Usually followed by long conversations in the teacher's lounge with some of my coworkers, because that's important to have friendships there as well. Then I teach a full load of 6 classes each semester, plus I coordinate work-based learning. So right now I teach college in the schools animal science, advanced veterinary science, landscape construction, agriculture economics, middle school intro to ag, and then plant science. So I have a big variety of classes. I also teach classes like food science and fish and wildlife and natural resources in the fall as well. And I really enjoy that part of my job. I really enjoy that I don't teach the same course many times throughout the day. I like the variability, and there definitely are challenges with that, especially being a classroom teacher and trying to create hands-on engaging opportunities. There's lots of purchase orders and paperwork you have to fill out so students can have those hands-on experiences, but seeing their growth and their learning and their experiences come to fruition in my classroom is what keeps me going every day. At the end of the day, I have the opportunity generally to, again, work with my FFA students after school. Right around this time of the year is the busy proficiency, state degree application season. So helping students work through those processes and interviews is something that I also enjoy and take a lot of pride in doing. And then I go home and get ready for the next day. So no 2 days are the same, like I said, but that's one of the best parts of being an ag teacher, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'll have to echo Joe. With Minnesota Farm Bureau, there really aren't any days that are the same. Our schedule and calendar year really determines what we're doing day to day. So we're working on planning our conferences that are coming up or any other programming that's on the docket. We do a lot with competitions and different programming with the leadership development. So it really depends on what we have coming up in the next couple of weeks or months for what we're actually doing day to day. We do have a smaller staff, so everybody kind of gets to be a jack of all trades and answer the phone, work with anyone who comes through the phone line on any questions they have with our organization or with their membership as a Farm Bureau member. So it really depends on what you get day to day. We do have a lot of meetings, both in office and outstate. So everything's different day to day, and that really is rewarding in a career where you're not doing the same thing day to day, and you always have something that's pushing you forward and changing what you're doing.
I think I'm beating a dead horse here, but also a lot of variety in my job, which is what I really enjoy. Although mine doesn't sound as glamorous, it's just a lot of meetings, phone calls, emails, paperwork, and a little travel. But I do get to work with a lot of different groups of people, which is one thing I enjoy. In one day, I can talk to a teacher about a grant, meet with other ag ed staff about an upcoming event or activity we're trying to do, take a call from someone starting a new program, testify at the legislature, and meet with our ag ed interns. So literally in one day that can happen, and then you start the next day. And so that is what I enjoy, is the variety and the groups of people that I get to interact with.
Like Sarah, my day involves a lot of different pieces. I manage probably about 40 to 50 different projects that are in operation at any time, and then I supervise a number of people, fairly large budgets. So that's maybe not always everybody's forte, but it's this idea of the variety and helping agriculture move forward. And that always is what I do at the heart of every project, that we're trying to help some component of agriculture move forward, for emerging farmers, new farmers, students that are in agribusinesses, wherever the case is, as we go forward. Work a lot across different college campuses. I'm always, my joy is that how do we bring new people to know about agriculture? And maybe that's a 16-year-old and maybe that's a 60-year-old. But those are always the fun times of what's new and exciting that we can be bringing forward, that they learn about agriculture, about their food, clothing, housing, whatever it is. I think those are always the fun things. So every day is full of a lot of different projects, challenges, and that's what keeps me going, is that excitement of what can we do that's new this week, or somebody else that's new that's walking in the door that didn't know agriculture before.
Awesome. I love to hear it. So a lot of you have been talking about some of your experiences that you have had in your careers, in your current jobs right now. And also you've been touching on some of the skills that you've been using in your current position. And our next question for you really ties into that, where how did your high school education or your college education prepare you for what you were doing today?
One of the things I love about being an ag teacher is I learn as I go, and agriculture is constantly changing and evolving. And I think one of the biggest skills that I gained from being a high school student and a college student in general is just the ability to be flexible and the ability to learn as you go, and do critical thinking and research about all things agriculture and mechanics related. Looking specifically at some of the courses that I teach as well. I'm very glad that I chose to minor in a bunch of different things in college as well. Like I did agriculture business, and I did animal science and horticulture as minors in college. And those have helped me, given me a diverse skill set so that I could help and teach some of these classes that are a little bit more hands-on. I wish that in high school or college, I would have had the opportunity to take some more agriculture mechanics courses, because that's definitely an area that I am weak in. But for sure, like gaining skills through those college classes and just the ability to think critically, think on your feet, and also do research so you know your material is something that I have gained. The other piece of this as well is relationships, and content is very important as a classroom teacher, but relationships are always way more important in my opinion, and the connections you have with your students and your colleagues. So the ability, just watching my high school teachers and how they interacted with their students, and also my college professors and instructors and how they interacted with their students, and kind of implementing those strategies in my classroom so that I can build relationships with my students, is something that's helped me as well.
One of the biggest things that I probably took from high school, besides just regular coursework, was all of the groups that I was able to be involved in. I was from a very small school, small community, which gave me the opportunity to maybe be too involved. I got to be in any club that I wanted to because there was space for you, and took leadership positions in pretty much anything that I was involved in. That really gave me the skills of being able to multitask and prioritize what I was doing, doing sports and after school activities while keeping the grades that I wanted to, and doing part-time jobs. So really just learning how to prioritize was one of the biggest things that I took from that time in my life and carried over into college. In college, I would agree with Joe. I think networking is one of the biggest things that you can take with you. My animal science degree might not directly apply to the jobs that I have now, but the people that I met, I still interact with day to day, whether I was in classes with them or in different organizations. Building those relationships is so valuable. And that's something that you can do no matter what classwork you take or what degree you end up in. And just making sure that you keep an open mind when you're going through your classes, and trying to be able to add as much to your toolkit as you can, so that you will be a valuable asset to any organization that you join in the future.
For me, during high school, kind of the same. I had a lot of opportunities to organize activities and events, and that gave me a skill set that I use daily still today. My college education prepared me for my role at MALC. It gave me a firm understanding of ag education, as well as having to student teach. I have experienced what our teachers need, so it gives me a base, and also just how our programs work. So I can speak to it very well to our other people, to the outside people. I also, during that time, had to do a farm business management ride along during my senior year. And I'm so thankful, because now I never knew I'd work with FBM instructors, and now I do a lot of time with them. And so I'm really thankful for that one college. It was a very short college experience, but it's been super helpful in my work now. So you never know, some of the college's experiences you're having may seem irrelevant and become relevant later. And of course, yeah, all the being involved in the meetings and the people you're meeting. Being at the U of M, I got to work with many of the faculty and current ag ed stakeholders in the state. And so it was a really smooth transition once I started working for MALC, because I had already met these people and built those relationships. So it was really easy to become colleagues and really move ag ed forward together.
For myself in different skills, I really appreciate the fact that I was able to get a lot of technical skills out of some of the courses, be it welding or soil science. As we think of today's subjects like carbon credits, water quality credits, or the different things that agriculture is looking forward to, it's nice to be able to relate to industry. So I think those are very important that you pick those up along the way. Even in the areas of animal science, vet science, everything that's important out there to agriculture producers, it's nice to be, kind of knowledgeable. But some of the key areas that I do a lot of presentations nowadays, and that was not me when I entered FFA. But creed speaking, public speaking, extem speaking were really critical to me. Not that I enjoyed those at the time, but again, I had an advisor that pushed a little bit, and I encourage you to think about that as well, because any way that we can build our communication skills or teamwork, really critical in any job I think that you're going to go into. And I'm very thankful that I was able to develop those at both the high school and college levels to bring me to where I am today.
Awesome. So my next question for you is, what do you look for in future employees? each of you have been through at least one interview process. I'm guessing more than one. So you have been interviewed, and then some of you have been on the opposite side of being the interviewer. So can you give a little bit of perspective to our students about what you would look for if you are on a hiring committee?
Well, at high school, generally the principal does hiring, so I have not had the opportunity to participate in anything like that before. But when I have people observe my classroom or come in and ask questions about being an agriculture teacher, my biggest piece of advice when they're going through the interview process and thinking about why you want to be a teacher is really know your why, and your why hopefully as a teacher should be student focused and student driven and wanting to make a difference hopefully and inspire students to be the best versions of themselves that they can be. And like I said, no 2 days are ever going to be the same, and no day is ever going to go perfect and as planned, and that's totally okay. But having a willingness and ability to discuss why you want to work with students and why you want to serve students is very important and critical to being successful as a teacher, in my opinion. And I think that articulating that in an interview is a really good thing. Additionally, some technical skills, like the more diverse you can be in terms of your content knowledge with like veterinary science, mechanics, plant science, the better. So like take classes and internships and experiences that will give you a wide array of skills and knowledge that you can have in your toolbox to share with the administrative team when you're interviewing.
I've been able to help with our internship interviews, which is maybe where you would see yourself in the next couple of years before moving on to a full-time career. One of the biggest things that I would say is don't underestimate the skills that you have, even if they seem like soft skills. We love seeing that this generation is so great with taking photos and video, and that they are willing to do that, and that can go a long way. And I think in any career these days, being able to communicate your story, what you're doing, can really make an impact on any job that you have. And being able to have personality in your interviews is so important. Coming in and some of them are very intimidating and can be scary, but just being able to relax and have an open conversation and show your personality is really valuable, because that's a huge factor in how we look at people if they're going to fit into where they're working and who they'll be working with. So it's not always just what you have on paper, it's also how you're able to interact with those that you're working with.
I love that, Rachel. I would second everything she just said. We also have a small office, so I need people that can work independently, and I trust, because I can't be constantly checking their work. There's very few of us. So obviously a basic understanding of agriculture education and ag is important. Self-motivated, detail-oriented. Don't just hear I finished it, that you actually like took the time, double-checked your work. Able to problem solve, good communication and verbal skills, and working well with individuals from all backgrounds. So I agree with Rachel about having a personality. Like, I can get you experiences to build your skill set, but you need to be able to fit, and its personality and work ethic is super important to me too.
Probably echo a lot of the comments. I would say, as you listen to the folks that have just spoken, don't think about all the technical skills. Those are important, and it's nice to have technical knowledge, but if you can have initiative, teamwork, really, as far as a personality, I think those are first and foremost that's out there. But I really encourage you to think about what initiative you may have as an individual. In other words, that self-starter, self-directedness, ability to get along with people. Those are really key assets as you think to any career that's out there. It's nice to have technical skills, but don't just focus on that only. Keep in mind of what you are as a person. And as Sarah mentioned, I really enjoy employees. In fact, when I'm hiring, I'm looking to somebody that I don't need to babysit. I want somebody that can take care of themselves, produce a project in a timely manner, do it well, and find the next project that needs to be done, and always be asking what's next, right? Because I think that's important. And that all goes with, I think, the idea that as a life, you have a life that's led in some sort of a goal fashion. I'm not saying everything's got to be all detailed, but kind of have a scope of what you want your life to be, and then fit your career in around that, because I think that as a self leads to you being self-directed.
All right, and with that was our last question. So thank you guys so much for taking time out of your very busy schedules to be with us today. I know I learned something, and I'm fairly positive that our students in the classroom have also learned something and will learn something. So thank you so much for all your wisdom. And with that, have a good day.